sound like it's on, but let's begin. I want to talk about, well, the term us and them is a common American expression, and I'm not sure it's one that resonates here, but us is the word we use to refer to our group, the people that are in our immediate community, and them is the way we refer to people in some other community or some other group. In America, we'll say them in a very grumpy, disdainful way. We'll say them when we want to blame other people for things that go wrong, when we want to accuse them of being the cause of our trouble. In process especially, we create roles and responsibilities, and initially we'll create roles and responsibilities to help us figure out what to do, to help us understand our jobs, because that's important. But when things go wrong in process, we will look for someone to blame. And it's usually them. They're the ones that cause the problem, and it's usually them that hurt us or caused the trouble because they didn't do their jobs right. So I'm talking about, I want to talk about different process groups, and in Scrum and Common Agile practice in particular, I want to talk about the product owner, and I want to talk about the Scrum team. They're, for me, the biggest us and them group, and we often hear that when things don't go wrong, we have a bad product owner. And when I talk to product owners, when things are going wrong, it's often because the team doesn't understand or takes too long to finish what they're doing. And they both point to them as the cause of their problem. So let's dig in from there. I want to, first I'd like to understand the communities we've got in the room. Well, what I'm interested in learning is who in the room are people that I would call deciders, people who make choices about what software we should build, people who maybe given a general direction make some decisions about exactly what it looks like. I'm interested in who are the makers, and I'm using makers as a general term to indicate people who write code, people who test code, people who may write documentation that goes with a finished product. And then a third group I'm looking at are people who are managers, the people who plan and manage work, people who help everyone else work together. Now, I learned something from watching Henrik talk earlier this morning, that if I ask everyone who is a developer to raise their hands, that you won't. So we're going to do this very differently. It's after lunch, and you might be weighed down by lunch, but I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. And don't get too comfortable. I'm going to wreck your lives. Can you move your chairs inside? Tuck them under the table if you can, because you're going to need the space. All right, I've got 3 signs someplace. What does that sign say? There's a decider, a sign, and who else has a sign? Is a sign a Kanban? Who else has a Kanban for the makers? Where is that? Is that there, towards the back of the room there? And then the last sign is for the managers. Where is that? Oh, that's the manager. Who has the maker sign? That's going to be...
He was busy making.
He's busy making. It's always the makers who are late. It's their fault. I knew it. All right, now here's the hard part. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands. You may be someone who's a developer who writes code. If you are, I want you to move closer to that sign. If you are someone who is a decider and makes decisions about what to build and specifies it, I want you to move closer to this side. And if you are a manager, if you break down and manage work, if you help other people do their jobs well, move closer to that side. And if you're somewhere in between, stay somewhere in between. And I expect it to be chaos for just a few minutes. Go.
Oh, you are doing nothing.
I'm seeing a lot of people cluster up between managers and makers. Does everybody notice how few people are up front here? It's either because my breath is very bad, or there are very few deciders. Yeah, who has their translators on? Okay, very interesting. There are a large number of people that are managers. And in a process like Scrum, well, managers have a hard time. Your job most closely maps to being a Scrum Master, being someone who helps support the team and helps them get better. But if you're a higher level manager, it may be a little bit more difficult. You're a Scrum Master at a higher level for the organization, helping the organization improve. It's a big change. If you're a maker, you're a developer or tester or technical writer. And if you're a decider, I might put people here that are product managers or people who make decisions for their company about what to build, or even user experience people or requirements analysts, things like that. Is that correct? How many of you are product managers? What roles do we have here? Ask me. I'm just curious. UX director. Yeah, that's a terrible role. Hard to do. Okay, now here's the hard part. I would like people to sit in cross-functional teams, and you're already sitting someplace comfortable. So to make this maybe a little bit easier, I'm going to call this group, you're all ones. Can you hold up a finger? Prove to me you have a finger. Hold up, yes, good. So you're all ones. Everybody here that's closer to being a manager, you're all twos. So 2 fingers. Everybody here that is a maker, you're all threes. What I was going to ask you guys to do is to each one of you sit at a different table, but you may already have your stuff in other places. Each one of you sit at a different table, and then keep track of, since there's the fewest of you, keep track of the people at your table and make sure you have a mixture of ones if you can get them, but there are fewer of you than there are of everyone else. Some people that come from management and some people that come from development and engineering testing, so that we have a bit of a mixture of people at tables. I'm going to ask you to do something together quickly to keep you awake after lunch. So, have a seat and mix up roles. Become cross-functional. Wait for the translation. You might have to shout it out.
決定者の人は1番です。マネージャーの人は2番です。開発者の人は3番です。で、ちょっと1番足りないんですけど、できるだけ全てのチームに1番と2番が3番が混ざってるように座ってください。じゃあ移動開始。誰か3番。3番の人こっちに来て。
Perfect. I see people with fingers up. I didn't have a category for consultants, but I think that makes you, well, I think that makes you two. Yes, yes. Join a table, so there will be four or five at a table, but maybe just four fit. And sit as soon as you can. We got people stop. It's definitely not possible to have all ones everywhere. It would be because there isn't enough. So wherever you're at now is probably good enough. We've done a good attempt at getting people with different viewpoints sitting together. So yeah, wherever you're at, that's good. I won't know the difference. Now I'm going to make this even harder. If you came here after lunch hoping that you could just sit and relax and doze off, I've ruined it for you, and I'm sorry. There's the translation laugh. Now, I want you to do one thing, and then well, actually more than one thing, a few things, but let's start here. And I promise you when we're done with all this, well, I don't know if this will work, but just like the last thing we did, I learned something, and I think you all learned something, that at Agile conferences and a lot of software conferences, that very few people who make decisions about what to build come. And at this particular conference, we have an even mixture of people who are makers, the developers, and people who are managers, people who manage other people. But I'm talking about groups like us and them. And if you're from one group, everyone else is them, because they're someone that has different responsibilities than you, different concerns, and they become someone we can blame. But what I'm concerned about, and what bothers me sometimes, is, well, our individual skills and interests don't always map to the job role that we're given. I find that I like doing many different things. I enjoy coaching and managing other people. I enjoy designing the outsides of the products, or making decisions about what the product does, and I enjoy writing code. So there are several things that I enjoy doing that are not part of any traditional job role. In front of you, everybody has some sticky notes, and post-it notes, and I want you to reach for the yellow post-it notes now, and you maybe need just one or two, and whatever pen you have, and I want you to answer this question. What do you love to do at work that's not part of your job role? What is one of the things you wish you could be doing at work that you can't because it's not your job? I want you to think for a moment, and then write your answer on a sticky note. Write in Japanese, of course. If you have more than one idea, write each one on a separate sticky note. And no talking, just write. This should take 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Go.
黄色いスティッキーノートに、今の仕事の役割とは全然関係ないんだけど、実は自分がやるのがすごい好きなことを1枚に1つずつ、1つか2つ書いてください。
Okay, I'm starting to see arms stop moving, and most people have written something down if you have something. Now, the next thing I want to do is, you've written down something that's in your head, but I want you to get it into everyone else's head that's at your table. So what you'll do is say your idea out loud, say it, and place it in the middle of the table. And one at a time, each of you say your ideas out loud and place them in the middle of the table where you can all see them. Instructions there. Don't have not too much discussion, but you can ask any questions to clarify so that you understand.
書いたスティッカーを声に出して読んで、みんなから見えるようにテーブルの真ん中に置いてください。で書いてあることが分からなかったらそれに質問をしていいんですけど、それ以上のディスカッションは今はしないでください。
Go. Okay, has everyone had a chance to read theirs in? Yeah? Good. Did you notice that some people at some tables stand up? They stand up so they can lean in, so they can read better, and they seem more engaged. I've heard that, well, somewhere between 15 and 20% more oxygen goes to your brain when you stand up. So the people standing up are smarter than you. Now, the next step is, well, you've got a bunch of ideas. These are ideas that are on the table. There may be some overlap, there may be different things, but I'd like you to cluster these ideas, organize them so that similar ideas or the same ideas are together and dissimilar ideas are different. So pile these, but I want you to do this. This goes faster if you do this in silence. Don't talk. You can talk if you have violent disagreement and want to hit each other, but other than that, no talking.
似たようなアイデアをまとめて塊にしてほしいんですけど、ディスカッション始めると大抵みんな喧嘩始めるので、喋らずにやってください。
You may have too few ideas to cluster. You may only have 4. That's not good. Okay. Second to last step. Everyone should have a different color of sticky note on their table, different color than yellow. What I'd like you to do, well, for clusters that have more than one thing in them, tag that cluster. Place a different color sticky note at the top of it or inside it. And then very quickly write something on that sticky note, and you can talk about this together, that distills or makes, pulls the ideas together. What would be written on the sticky note, on a different color sticky note, if I didn't have to read the others? So distill those ideas. And again, you can talk now.
まとまった塊の上にもう一つの色、黄色以外のスティッキーノートでくっつけて、その塊をうまく表す名前だったりニックネームだったりをつけていいです。で、今からはしっかり話してディスカッションしながらやってください。
Okay, we have the last step now. Does everyone notice this very smart group at the back where most people are standing? You have very small groups, and there may be just a few ideas on the table, and likely you might have, you've now heard, well, things that other people like to do other than you. You might have seen that some people have things that are similar to yours. But I want you to think of the question of these distilled ideas, of the ideas that are here, which one, if you were to do more of that thing, would really benefit your company? Now, there may be just a few ideas here, and they may be ones that you've chosen, but you get to choose 2. And use your pen and write a star on the 2 ideas that you think, or the 2 things to do that you think, if you did more of them, would most benefit your company. You distill that.
まとまったクラスターがいくつかあると思うんですけど、それの中でもっとやった方が会社のためになる、会社の利益になると思うものに個人個人が印をつけて投票してください。1人2票までです。で、それはあなたの意見なのでみんなと合意する必要はないので静かにやってください。
This should be fast. This is your own personal vote. You don't need to discuss this too much. Now, what you've got is hopefully some idea of the kinds of things that people like to do that, well, they can't do because it's not their job. Now, I want to hear what a few of these are. The best way to do this is look at what's on your table and the idea that has at least 2 votes or has more than 2 or more votes. I want to hear what those are, so if you're at your table and you've got something interesting, rather than you raising your hand, I want someone to pop up, to stand up and say it, just like that. Do you want to demonstrate again? Perfect. You may not have to get that much altitude, but that's admirable energy. And then say it out loud, but say it in Japanese, because this isn't for me, this is for everyone else to hear. And then, yeah, he can repeat it back in, using the microphone, and he can tell me in English what it is. Okay.
というわけでたくさん投票が集まったアイデアがあると思うので、ぜひそれを共有してください。で、手を挙げて当てたりしないので、もうさっと立って、私はこれをもっとやりたいっていうのを覚えて日本語で言ってください。
コードが書きたい。コードが書きたい。
I want to write more code.
プロダクトのビジョンを立てたい。
I like to write more visions about product.
仕事にもっと集中したい。
仕事にもっと集中したい。Want to concentrate on the task.
もっとものづくりしたい。
Would like to make more, make more products. We like to talk more, communicate more.
新しい企画を考える。
Like to try new ideas.
Two more.
あと2つ。
知識を高めたい。
I'd like to learn more.
人材教育したい。
I'd like to develop more people. I'd like to develop more people. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you for doing this with me. I promise I'll come back to why we did this and why this makes sense soon. Did anybody have a little bit of fun doing this? Good. Yeah. Because if you didn't raise your hand, you'd be out right now. That's it. All right. Let's go into the real talk here. All of this us and them story, this is all me confessing my problems to you.